Did you know that over the past 35 years, the number of medical diagnoses and procedures that have gone from 16,000 to over 70,000? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm just not that screwed up. I mean, seriously, it's getting ridiculous. And I'd like to tell you about, why I have this opportunity to come and speak to you today, because I want to share with you a situation that happened to me a few years ago. I actually became enlightened, but not in the way that most people would think. I became enlightened because I got lit up in the operating room. I was operating on this woman who had a kidney tumor about the size of a cantaloupe. All surgeons use a piece of medical equipment called an ESU. It's a scalpel that uses electricity to cut through tissue and cauterize blood vessels at the same time. On this particular day, when I was in the operating room and I was inside of her abdomen, I was getting ready to remove the kidney, I suddenly heard this loud pop, and a flash of light came through the abdomen, and at that moment, I had been electrocuted. And what had happened was the electricity, it couldn't find ground. And so it took the path of least resistance, which was me. And it shot into my hand, up my arm, through my heart, through my brain, and out my ankle. I was literally thrown back about 6 to 8 feet, and I collapsed down on the floor. I'm fighting for my life, and so is my surgical team. And then everything went dark, and I had a near-death experience. And during my time in the darkness, I heard this voice that clearly said to me, "I'm not ready for you yet. You have more work to do." And I came back, and luckily my patient was fine. Nothing happened to her. However, I had a traumatic brain injury and multiple other physical injuries. She went home a couple of days later. I was in the ICU for over a week. Now, at first I thought, okay, when I got out of the hospital, everything's going to be cool, I'll just take a couple of weeks, maybe a few months, and I'll be back in the OR doing my thing again. But then those weeks turned into over 3 years of having, struggling to count change or even read a book. And those years then turned into over a decade of seeing psychologists and psychiatrists for post-traumatic stress disorder, clinical depression, and panic attacks. But all was not doom and gloom. One day, when I was sitting on my therapist's couch, I had this epiphany, and I realized that I really wasn't depressed. I was grieving. I was grieving over the fact that part of my identity had died in that operating room, my identity as a surgeon that I had been working at so many years. And I had lost my patients, my practice, my relationships with my colleagues, everything that I knew as a surgeon. And what the signs and symptoms of the depression was that I was just struggling to redefine who I am. And when you think about this, aren't we all struggling over parts of our identity that might have died, and we're just trying to redesigning who we are? When you really think about it, that's really what's happening. And it can show up as feelings of anger, sadness, fear, and a number of other negative emotions, including mental and physical diagnoses. In fact, according to the American Psychological Association, chronic stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death. And over 75% of physician office visits are due to stress-related medical conditions. Stress. What's stress? Stress is not something that's done to you or some event that happened on a particular day. Stress is something that you create within yourself, and you create a belief around it. And that belief is determined by the meaning that you attach to that event that happened to you. Does that all make sense? And when you change your belief, you can change the quality of your life. Now, I was down in Costa Rica a few years ago, and I got down to this beautiful resort, and when I got to the resort, the first thing I wanted to see was the beach, right? And it's, it was on Costa Rica on the Pacific side of the country, and I go down to the beach, and I run down the stairs, past the outdoor buffet, and then down to the beach. And at this beach, they had all these mango trees almost up to the water. And I see this sign that's underneath the mango trees. And the sign is painted, "Don't feed the monkeys." Now, my mind says, go get bananas. So I run from the beach, back up the stairs, back up to the buffet, and I'm filling my pants with all these bananas, right? So then I zip back down there and pull out a banana, and I'm holding it up, and sure enough, a few seconds later, I see the leaves at the top of the trees, of the mango trees, starting to move. And then all of a sudden, this little face shows up, and it's a monkey. It's one of these little capuchin monkeys about this big. It's so cute. And the thing comes crawling down the branch, all the way down to the trunk, and then it reaches out very gingerly, and it takes a little piece of banana, and it starts eating it. And then all of a sudden, another monkey comes, and another one. And now I've got 20 monkeys all around me. They're on the ground, they're in the trees, and they're all reaching for bananas. Well, guess what? A few minutes, I'm out. And I'm thinking, wow, what am I going to do now? So luckily, I had a croissant inside my backpack. So I grabbed the croissant, and I'm getting ready to peel off a piece to share it with all the monkeys. And one of the monkeys jumps up, grabs the whole croissant, and runs up the tree. And he bites into it, and he looks at it, and he starts screaming at me like I gave him some non-organic croissant or something. And he takes this croissant, chucks it at me, hits me in the head, as accurate as a quarterback. And I literally, it's instinctive. It's just totally reflexive. I throw my hands up, right? And I start, I'm trying to shoo the monkeys away. Don't ever do that. Because it ended up being a threat to them. That was their event, and they changed their beliefs. And it changed their state, and it turned into anger. And the next thing I know, I've got 20 ticked off monkeys. And these little cute little monkeys that I believed them to be at first, I changed my belief because they had fangs about this big. And I went running out of there, off the beach, up the stairs, past the pool, and they're chasing me, all 20. Oh, it gets worse, trust me, it gets worse. So the people at the pool, they're scared, they're running away. So I don't know where to go. And so, I know where to go. Go inside the restaurant. So I go in the restaurant, and guess what? They're jumping over the walls. They're coming in there with me. And they're jumping from table to table. They're grabbing people's food. Everyone's screaming. They're running out. Now it gets even worse. The manager's, he's ticked off at me. And he comes running out, and he's like, "You stupid American! There's a sign that says, 'Don't feed the monkeys.' It's even in English!" Now, after that event, I changed my beliefs, just like those monkeys did. But I changed my belief about, I realized that it doesn't take years, decades of psychotherapy in order to change someone's emotional state and help them cope with their condition. I used that belief when I went to the Philippines to help with the historic typhoon that hit this past November 2013. 10,000 were dead. Over 100,000 homeless. And I had the belief that I could be able to help these individuals with post-traumatic stress disorder, clinical depression, profound grief. And I was there in the trenches for over 2 months. And I'm just very blessed that I was able to help a lot of people in just a matter of a few hours. And I still follow up with them, and they're still doing great. Now, we all have those times that we have that inner self-talk of self-doubt, and makes us feel like we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, whatever it might be. And I have those myself all the time. But whenever I do, I immediately change my beliefs, and I just fire it. I just get rid of it. And, it feels good to have gone through this experience of my near-death experience because I really learned a lot from it. And we all can learn from the tragedies or the life adversities that we go through. People often ask me, do you miss being a surgeon? And honestly, I don't. Because I get to be a kid again. I get to travel the world. I've been all over the globe. I get to share these stories. I get to talk. I get to meet people. I get to talk to people for more than 5 minutes before I have to go see another patient. That's how much I love this, right? And on top of that, I'm healing more people now than I ever did when I held a scalpel in my hand. And I'm not leaving a scar behind to remind them that I was there. Change your beliefs, change your life. Thank you.